Hello again, it's In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. I am, as I ever have been, Ross Brierley, your host for this evening, and we're looking ahead to the 22nd of the 2nd and hoping that we can find some firsts. Can we get a few winners on Kempton's card on Saturday? And if we don't like the look of Kempton, we've got a bit of winter derby action over at Southwell, or if you like long distance handicap chasers, which I know some of our panel do, we've got a bit of Eider fun and games over at Newcastle as well. And the weather's been bad where I am, where I live, and the ground is good at Kempton, rather surprisingly. And luckily the racing's pretty great, so we've got something for everyone. Get involved on the chat if you're watching right now. As you well know, we are live and interactive on YouTube, and like I said, there's nothing better than reading the chat during the show and getting stuck into your thoughts and feelings. So good evening to Dr. Grimble, to Monty, to Eden, to Paul again, to David Watchman, Daniel Valentine, Dan, Stacey, and many, many more. Like I said, it is a big weekend ahead of big weekends, ahead of big weeks. It's starting to get into that time of year now where there isn't really a quiet Saturday, Sunday, or obviously in a couple of weeks, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday too. So what do you like about tomorrow? Do you have any strong fancies? Hopefully the person to my left has a few strong fancies. I don't think we've ever done a show where he's not had at least one or two. So I think we're going to be in luck with Mr. Paul Kealy. How are you doing, Keels? What are you doing?
Do you mind not interrupting me? I've just realised there's some all-weather nonsense. I've got to have a quick study up.
You didn't know we were doing the Winter Derby, did you?
Well, I did, but I forgot all about it. So yeah. Why is all this nonsense going on when we've got jump racing from two tracks? Why can't they put another handicap in Newcastle on, eh? Oh, I don't know. Well, it's TV people drive you mad.
No, I really appreciate you starting with a positive note, though, mate. Thanks ever so much. Start as you mean to go on. I've done this whole intro. We talked. There's loads of races, loads of horses, and you picked up with the one thing that you don't like. Come on, give us what do you like?
Mr. Negative, I actually like quite a few. I do like quite a few. I love this meeting at Kempton. Go every year, for 30 odd years. Like, you know what I mean. So could do with it being more competitive in it than a few of the races are. But I mean, it'll be a good day, and I quite fancy one in the big race itself. Yeah,
and I would argue that apart from maybe the Pendil, I think the Adonis is more competitive than it first looks. We'll get to that.
It might well be, mightn't it? Yeah. I mean, that all depends on how good Mondo is, but yeah, like you said, we'll get to that. But no, there's some good races on there, I think.
Yeah, there is indeed. Like I said, something for everyone. Even you filthy flat aficionados out there. I'm talking to myself with that as well. So, Tom Segal, start us off with let him do the moaning. Give us a positive straight off the bat.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Ross. Yeah,
you were struggling as well. Come on, it's a good Saturday. It's Kempton, it's competitive, it's good ground. It should, in theory, touch wood, not really have that much of an impact on Cheltenham whatsoever, which means we can forget about predicting what race the horses go into before they even won the races they're already in. So look, it's a lovely self-contained Saturday.
Yeah. Spot on. Well done, Ross. You've sold it to me. I wasn't convinced before, but you have now. I like the two. The two big handicap chases are fantastic. They're just mine and Keels' type of races. So I've been looking at them basically since Monday, trying to work out what's going to win them. And I like the Heaver Sprint at Southwell as well. I thought obviously the group races are just small fields. They're not brilliant quality. Finding a bet in them is quite tricky, I thought. But the shoulder races, the handicaps are great. The old Racing Post chase, the Ladbrokes chase now is always been a great race. Always been one of my favourites. Loved going and seeing Nakarat win it a few times when we were sponsoring it. Me and Keels would have been down there watching him win a few times. Loved him for Tom George. And the Eider is just a race that's different from everything else. So yeah, I like that one too. Yeah. Yeah. Probably the biggest stamina test of all, I think, the Eider, of all the races. It might not be as far as the Grand National, but Newcastle always seems to be really stiff track. They always finish legless there, and I think it might be slower than people are thinking up there. It might be a real stamina test.
Yeah, albeit, we've seen some Eiders where, they nearly finished the Saturday afterwards, didn't they? We've seen some really, unappealing Eiders, let's be honest, and finishes. So hopefully, I think 18 runners, good to soft, soft in places maybe at Newcastle, like you said. In-form horses, some Irish raiders, some younger horses. Again, I look at a race like the Eider normally is the very opposite of what I want to get stuck into. But I did look at tomorrow's lineup and think, you know what, I might tune in for the second half of this.
Yeah, after the first half of the football, get the, you know what I mean, tune in for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, I like it. I've always liked the Eider. It's always been the races like that just float my boat. So. Yeah, it's a long old trek. But funnily enough, it's sort of, everyone has it down as sort of a race that's, it's 4 mile stiff track. You've got to have low weights. Not the case in the Eider. Lots of top weights and lots of horses near the top of the weights have won the Eider over the years. It's more of a class thing than a weight thing. And so, often you get a big disparity in class between the horses at the top and the horses at the bottom. But that's not the case this year. I think you can give everything a chance, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's almost a slight contrast to. I think the Ladbrokes Trophy, in contrast, actually it is a bit more of a weight thing. I think some people, which is why I quite like this year's race, because the top two in the weights are a top two in the betting, and I think it's a lot more open than it suggests. But my favourite Ladbrokes Trophy winner was probably Razor Royale, though.
Really? For Twisted David. Yeah. See, even I remember that one.
Yeah, partly because when I was a kid I was into wrestling, so it reminded me of that. But I also liked the horse and also backed it, obviously. I mean, that's the trifecta right there, isn't it?
You're into wrestling. You expand on that. That's an interesting nugget, Ross.
Well, you're a kid.
Who was your favourite wrestler?
When I was a kid, the Ultimate Warrior, obviously.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
What about
Big Daddy?
What about? I've heard of one, The Undertaker. He was a wrestler.
Exactly. Yeah, same time. Yeah. I mean, that could be. We've got the. I mean, you're more the Ultimate Warrior these days, aren't you, Tom? Maybe, I don't know. I've got nothing. Look, let's. How have we gone down this path? I've already been.
You brought it up, not us.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to say you're distracting me, but I'm not. I'm distracting myself here. So, I do believe we might. Have we got Simon Clare on the show?
Well, I hope so.
Oh, lovely stuff. There he is. There we go.
Technical problems, but I am here.
That's absolutely fine. I mean, there must have been technical problems because you've got your running top on ready to sprint to the studio, Simon. So
I'm feeling sporty.
Yeah.
Giant Haystacks was one of the great wrestlers of our time, wasn't it, Tom? Paul? That was when wrestling was on around Football Focus time, wasn't it? It was on the World of Sports on one side, we had Football Focus on Grandstand, I think, from memory, or something like that.
And the old grannies with the handbags, do you remember? He was brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look. Let's. If you like and subscribe enough, if we get 1,000 likes on the show, us four will have a wrestling match. How's that?
Let's not.
Keels, I've got you down as Fav.
Absolutely, yeah. Old Big Daddy Keels.
I'm going to do the Big Daddy Slam.
Yeah.
That'll be what it is.
I love it.
Anyway, never mind that. Simon Clare, what have you got for us tonight before we get stuck in?
Yeah, well, look, usual call out for Pitch at the Post, our new Cheltenham offer. We've got all ITV races covered tomorrow, which obviously involves a flat race. So it's beaten for a Pitch at the Post. If your horse is beaten by a head or less, you get paid out as a winner. Up to £10, and if your horse in the jumps race has beaten a neck or less, you'll be paid out as a winner as well. So, and last week, I think it was at 300 through 5, was narrowly beaten by Victorino, and people who backed 300 through 5 were paid out as the winner. A bit of a touch. So it's been sort of coming in more regularly recently, which is good.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, Simon. Right, let's get stuck into tomorrow's racing then after this.
You want over £2,000 in Cheltenham free bets? Visit racingpost.com/free bets, the ultimate hub for betting offers. Racing Post. Stay ahead of the field.
Okay, then. Right. Before we do, though, Brian Galt's messaged in to say he was at the 2008 Racing Post Chase as a guest at the table, seated beside Mr. Segal, a gentleman. God, I must have bored him, says Brian. So there you go.
Other way round, Brian. I can assure you it was the other way round.
I was at the 1990 Racing Post Chase.
Were you? Who won that year?
Desert Orchid, his greatest ever performance.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Carried 12 stone 3, and he won by 8 lengths from Delius and another 16 or so back to Seagram, giving him £34, who won the following year's Grand National for a mark of 148. That's how good Desi was.
Great horse.
I think I was probably younger than every horse in that race at that time.
Were you even born?
I was 6 years old, buddy. 6 years old.
Well, there's another.
What's that? Sorry.
There's another race. There's another race I'm really urged to watch.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. Simon, Mr.
I was saying Bonanza Boy's victory is one you must watch because this is a horse who was a real stayer. He won 2 Welsh Nationals. And Kempton was never a track that would suit him, and he was way out the back, miles behind. Horses, when you always think horses never can come from nowhere at Kempton, but Bonanza Boy did that day and ran on through. I think presumably under Peter Scudamore, I think rode
it. Was, yeah. It was better than McCoy on Wichita Lyman that day.
Okay, yeah, well worth a watch on YouTube.
What about Gloria Victis, Si?
Oh, he was a lovely horse, wasn't he?
Wasn't he brilliant that day?
What could have been, poor horse, yeah. No, so listen, the Racing Post, I was now I'm glad Ladbrokes are sponsoring it, but it was a great race under the Racing Post for many years. We had a lot of fun with that.
Lovely. Right, let's hope we can create some memories for future generations this Saturday at Kempton. We'll get into that in a second. Right, the 1:15 at Kempton, first race of the day. Like I said, it's just to double check, Keels. It's saying good ground. You said it's been raining near you, but not at Kempton.
Well, I mean, I probably live 10 miles from Kempton, no more. But it lashed down yesterday, so much so that we had to carry our golf bags this morning, so that annoyed me. But yeah, it was absolutely soaking where I was, but they said they barely had any, and it's 80% good and will be good if they miss it. Now, it hasn't been that heavy today, so I think it's going to be nearer good than good to soft, yeah.
All right, well, fair enough. Goal for an Alec is the 130 favourite for the opener. San Anapolino 4-1, Doyen Quest 5s, Punctuation 5s, Caught in the Act 8-1, Maleta 9-1, Stoner's Choice 11s with Tapley, and then bigger the rest here, including Samari for Paul Nicholls in those De La Haye Silks, who normally have a very good time of it at this meeting, and I think Paul Nicholls will need a very good time of it because he's having a tough season, that's for sure. And not only enough, this race last couple of seasons won by the same horse coming out of the same race. Mark Gold fell twice in the Lanzarote, came and won this, but of course the Lanzarote was abandoned this year, so trend hunters are going to have to look elsewhere. But we do have some very unexposed types at the top of the betting, including 5-year-old Goal for Alec, who is going for a third handicap win in the past couple of months. But I quite like one in here, but I'm going to keep that light under a bushel and see if either of you two agree with me first. Paul Kealy, what did you like in the opener?
Well, good ground horses. I mean, I've backed 2. I've backed Doyen Quest, who I think good ground is definitely key to him. He absolutely slaughtered Go Road over 3 mile. This might be a bit short, but I don't think he's been getting home on good to soft. And I think this fast run race will suit him round here. I think he's sort of tailor-made for it. And the other one is Pyramid Place. Another good ground horse, winner at Aintree in May on good ground. Winner again, only a small field, beat Stoner's Choice quite very easily over course of distance in November. Hasn't run since December. Ollie Murphy's booked claimer, I can't remember his bloody name now. What's his name? Lewis Saunders. And I thought £7 claim. I know nothing about these claimers. There's too many of them. Well, when I had a look, he's got a 32% strike rate for Ollie Murphy. 13 winners from 41 rides.
You rode a winner today.
So yeah, he seems okay. And I thought 14-1 was a fairly big price.
Yeah, he rode. What I fancied a couple of weeks ago. Active Authority to win Double O ban. He's won on this week as well. Yeah, he's having a cracking time of it.
Yeah, so there you go. Those are the two. I mean, Ollie Murphy's just been having a cracking season. He's had more winners. I think he was on 103 going into today, I think, and that's more than he had. More than his career best last year. And we're only coming towards the end of Feb.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that because the one I fancy was Doyen Quest, who I agree with you. I mean, 3 miles on good to soft ground, I think, has been just finding him out. I think 2 mile 5 round here. He's 2 from 2 on good ground. Yeah. Like I said, that Gower Road form's good. He's in the Coral Cup as well, which I think is probably a bit much. But I don't know. It's just a classic Skelton handicap hurdler, isn't he? And I think if he'd taken either of those last two runs out, I think he'd be a
short price favourite. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I totally agree. And he's back on the ground. He's down in class as well. So I actually think he's easily the most likely winner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right, good. I'm glad Mr. Kealy agrees with me. What do you like, Mr. Segal?
Doyen Quest now. Now, move on to Si. I don't even have to talk about it. You boys have told us all. I don't know. I thought the two at the top. I mean, they haven't got the form. I mean, I like San Anapolino a bit. I think he's going to like the trip. He's been running. I mean, the ground's never that bad at Taunton. I don't think I'm about 20 miles away. It's not stopped raining here today. Literally hasn't stopped raining. It's still raining now, so they must get some rain. If in between us, Keels, it's going to get some rain. I don't know. I thought Santa Ana Polino was just a progressive. I think Philip Hobbs has always done well at this meet. He's got lots of runners on the cards. I get your Dawn Quest angle. Totally. He's got a very good chance. I'll take you on Santa Ana Polino just because I want to be contrary, really.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've just actually, this isn't one of your races either, is it?
No.
It's not an ITV race, is it? Okay. Simon Clare, what about you? Anything strong in the up? There was some positive noises being made in my ear there. Do you agree with any of them?
Yeah, no, listen, I think Santa Ana Polino is really interesting. In fact, it's a classic, when you think you've got a nice horse, you often start them off over 2 miles, they win their races, but if you know that they're going to improve for a trip, you don't give it away early on. And the fact they've gone 2 mile, won twice, and now up in trip, whereas the handicap mark starts to increase. And so I think Santa Ana Polino could be continue to be progressive over the upper trip. He's been back 4s from 5s in the last hour or so. Doing Quest in the Dan Skelton blog, Dan thinks that the trip will be a positive, but he just questions whether maybe the handicap has just got a bit of a hold of him now, because he did think he was quite progressive when he ran those decent races early in the season. And I've got half an eye on all the Paul Nicholls horses today. A lot of them carrying those Johnny De La Haye colours, who loves to have runners at Ascot and Kempton particularly. And this Samarive didn't like it over fences. He was quite relatively tenderly handled at Ascot. He didn't jump very well in what was a better race than this, very competitive last weekend. The fact they've got him out again a week later, he got up in trip. I just think maybe Samarive at a big price with, you got Cobden Nicholls at 16-1 at a track that he does well at. I think he might just be worth a few quid, and there's a few like that today with the Paul Nicholls name next to him.
Okay, thank you. We'll get to a few more of those later on. I know the man to my left's backed at least one of them. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Any on the chat? Sporting Ace each way for me, says Paul Summerfield.
Sporting Ace.
Sorry,
the wrong race.
It is
Sporting Ace.
It is the wrong race. Yeah. I was just looking for. Like I said, it's also it's trying to it's like sifting through your post in the morning to see what's not a bill and what's an interesting thing. Some people are having all sorts of chats, and they are fascinating. But like I said, I can distract myself without being distracted. Punctuation will win. Full stop, says Dr. Grimble.
Very good.
There you go. Okay.
Well done, the good doctor.
Does he really fancy it, or was he just there for the joke?
I don't know, but either way, I like it. So I'm with you. I'm trying to think of more punctuation jokes. No, just move on to the Pendil Novices Chase, where Rhubarb is 6-4 favourite here. Imperial Saint 5-2, Ashdale Bob 5-1, Boomborn is 8-1 with Mark of Gold at 8-1, and Baloo is 33-1 outsider of the bunch. Then a Mark of Gold here, looking for his third win at this meeting on the bounce. He's won that handicap hurdle twice, and he comes here for the Pendil Novices Chase. He's an 8-1 shot though, because Rhubarb is a short price favourite. Again, a race that Paul Nicholls absolutely loves to win. 13 times the last 20 years, and when he doesn't win, he normally finishes second like he did last year. And Rhubarb, to be fair, I think will be a little bit more comfortable on good ground round Kempton than his 2 experiences over fences so far, Tom. And interesting, obviously, whether he gives a little bit of a boost to Arkle contender Loda Sud as well. But yeah, he's 6-4, and understandably so. The Nicholls runner in this was always going to be short. Yeah.
I mean, undoubtedly, he's got the most potential of these, I would have thought. He was a very good hurdler, wasn't he? And he actually jumped really well. I know he tipped up behind Sergino and Ballyburn here on his chase debut, but he jumped really well for the first few fences, and then he fine at Warwick last time, I thought. Just a trip thing, isn't it? I think he'll have no problem with the trip. I think if he stays, he wins. There is that doubt whether you want to take the 6-4. I think he'll stay, no problem, and win. Imperial Saint's a bit like the changing man last week, isn't he? He's sort of the solid one that's been running in handicaps, and he's very good, and he's brilliant jumper. The chance if Rhubarb makes mistakes, he'll take advantage because he's going to do everything right. I personally think Rhubar's, last week we had Janko Bay, was it, or Jinko Blue, or whatever they were called, and he was never a good jumper. We'd seen that in his start. Rhubarb, I think, is a good jumper, so I expect him to jump fine and win. Imperial State's there to take him on if not. And I did give Boomborn a little shot if the ground was good, because he's 2 from 2 at Kempton, and he won the Rising Stars at Wincanton at the start of the season on good ground, and it was the day when nothing came from behind, and he did. Do you remember? It was the old horse that Sam Thomas did, the grey horse that won the Badger Beer. His name's escaped me. went from the front and won, and everyone was saying it's gone too hard, and he kept on. And
Al Dancer,
Al Dancer.
Well done, everyone.
And Boom came from behind that day, and he did really well to win. And he's liked Kempton, and he's just the type of horse that small field might suit. So I could see him running better, but he's got to step up a bit because he's got to give weight to Rubo and Imperial Saint.
Okay. Boom is an 8-1 shot here. I mean, to be fair, look, I think Rubo is the most likely winner. Nichols loves him in here. Everything conditions are absolutely ideal, but I wouldn't be that surprised if any of the other single-figure prices beat him. It's a competitive race, even though the favourite should be the favourite.
I mean, you can. Yeah, I suppose you can make cases of sorts. I mean, the next three in the bet and beyond the front two have all got to give £5 to the pet.
Yeah,
which doesn't make it any easier for them. I mean, Jessica Houghton's coming a long way to run Ashdale Bob in this sort of race, a 10-year-old who seems to be right back in form and was a very good horse a couple of years back.
Is that just just for the ground?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, he's got form on everything, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's run some absolute blinders on deep ground, hasn't he? Including at Cheltenham, has he not?
Yeah, I mean, he was a proper staying hurdler, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He'd often just get outstayed over 3 miles in soft ground.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He was third
I'm sure he very much liked bottomless ground. So
yeah, he was third in that Coral Cup that was really soft.
Yeah, no issues at all, I think. So yeah, it's a surprise. But I mean, end of the day, I mean, I'm a big fan of Imperial Saint. I had a good bet on him in that novice handicap chase at Cheltenham that he finished third in. But Rubo's a better horse, and he loves Kempton. Mm-hmm. He's won a listed hurdle. He's been second in the Christmas hurdle. He's won 2 Grade 2. So he's won two listed hurdles at least, and maybe a Grade 2. And he's definitely won a couple of Grade 2s at Wincanton as well. Sharp right-handed track, but he is a staying 2-miler. He's always looked a staying 2-miler. Rushed off his feet. He's got a brother in Ireland that's won over 2 miles 6. Like Tom, I don't see any issue with the ground. I think he's the best horse. I don't see any issue with his jumping either. And very, very rarely for me, I backed him at anti-post at 5-2, and I never bet those short prices that early. Like, you know what I mean? But I thought to myself, this should be even money now, and that was with Django Bay in the race, because I just thought he would be a very short price favourite. That's the thing. So I think 6-4 is actually very good value.
So it's you think it's his to lose, basically?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I think and hope that Mr. Nichols is going to have a good day, because I'm rowing in with him a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, he could definitely do with one. Simon. He said it himself, isn't he? He probably is having his worst season for the best part of a decade, and it would be nice, a bit of a boost to get 1 or 2 winners at Kempton on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, definitely. But he's a trainer who he doesn't take it lying down. He won't stay down for long. And last weekend he won with Pictory, which I think sort of had shades of Rubo, and that everything pointed to him. You know, there were good horses against him, but it was his track. You know, he'd been there before. Everything was set up for him, and he won. And he was a very backable price. And I think Rubo, again, is one of those 6-4 chances where, I mean, like I say, the Paul Nicholls record in the race, his form round Kempton, you know, the fact, I think Paul said, he looks like the trip, even though he's never run beyond 2 miles or 2 miles 1, it should suit him. I mean, he did win over a mile 7 at Saint Cloud on the flat and was 4th in a Group 3 over a mile 7 at Longshot. So even as a younger horse, he was staying kind of, you know, those real stamina trips on the flat. So I just think he's very, very logical. You're the favourites of a great record of those five favourites in 10 years. So I think, you know, as a 6-4 chance, he looks an absolute cracker. Ashdale Bobs looks like, you know, Kempton's such an idiosyncratic track as well. Lots of horses just don't suit it. You know, and Ashdale Bob has got lots of firm over a lot further. You could see maybe Kempton being a bit sharp as a track. And Imperial Saint, I suppose he's the danger. But no, I'm a big Rubo fan. I think he is going to prove too good. And he's one of those 6-4 chances, which is very tempting to bat.
Yeah, although I'm just going to double check. What has he even tried? He hasn't even tried 2.5, has he, over jumps?
2 mile 1, I think it's 2 mile 1 or something, the furthest he's ever run.
Interestingly, last 15 years, not a single horse has run in the Pendil, having not run over at least 2 mile 3, which is interesting. So he'll have to do. I mean, he's doing something completely different. He's stepping up in trip in quite a tall grade. But okay, but you think he's going to win?
I think he's going to win. Yeah, I expect him to win.
Tom?
Yeah, I think he'll win. Yeah.
Okay, lovely stuff. And Dr. Grimble says Rubo is surely a great price, lump on for a good start to the day. Sean O'Connor thinks he'll win easily as well. And JJ13 thinks Ashdale Bob will. Right, moving on then to the Adonis, a grade 2 here for the Juveniles, which has been one of the most talked about races of the week. And neither of those horses have turned up, as Lalamba and Palladium, neither of them make the trip to Kempton for the Adonis. I thought at least Palladium might, to get a bit more experience and then maybe go on to Aintree. And the Lalamba entry, I think, took quite a few people by surprise, but it was a red herring, a false dawn. And we're left with Mondo Man at 4-6 here to beat OPEC at 4-1, Sauvignon and St Pancras at 7-1, Mambo number 5 at 16-1, and Bersonel at 50-1. So we've got a short price favourite here in the shape of the very classy flat horse Mondo Man, who was running in classics over in France last summer at Paul Kealy, and has joined the Moore team. Let's start with the positives, shall we? He's clearly a very, very talented horse. He hasn't got a great deal to beat with the 2 Henderson horses not turning up, and the track should be absolutely spot on for him.
Yeah, track should be fine. I mean, on flat ability, he's just in a different league, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? 5th in the French Derby, 4th in the King Edward VII Stakes at Royal Ascot. Like, you know, very, very, very good form. I mean, the thing is, he tugged so hard at Ascot last time. He could not have shown his true potential over hurdles. Mm-hmm. But who's to say he won't do that again whenever he runs over hurdles? Because he's running 2 miles. He tugged. If you go back to his early form in France when he was running over a mile and a bit, he was incredibly keen then. Like, you know what I mean? So that is what he is. So don't expect him to be any different, is all I'll say. I'm surprised they haven't tried a hood or something, because he probably needs it to try and settle. But if he settles, he'll win. If he doesn't and he starts tugging around, it does bring others into it, because what he's actually done at Ascot wasn't brilliant, was it? Like, no. You know, he's got beaten by Lalamba, who gave him £10. The third Vianney wasn't beaten that far. Now, I know he won next time, but he fell in at odds of 2-7 at Ludlow.
Like, to be fair, I mean, he beat St Pancras a long way, reopposes.
Yeah, he beat St Pancras a long way, and, you know, but St Pancras was obviously come out and run well since, but, you know, at a lower class. So, I don't know. It's one of those where I'm not in a mad rush to oppose him, but I won't be backing him.
You'll let him win.
I'll let him. One of those where you can let win. Interesting one is Sauvignon, and again, Nichols, Johnny De La Haye. Johnny De La Haye has a 25% strike rate at Kempton of all his horses, which is pretty damn good. Now, he has been the opposite of what he was at Cheltenham last time. He's been a shortener. He was a massive drifter all day at Cheltenham. He went into that Triumph trial with an official rating £1 higher than East India Dock, and we was wondering what it was about that French form that made the French handicapper rate him so high, because obviously we pretty much reciprocate now. And the answer was nothing. He was beaten a long way, but it won't be the first time that Nichols has run a horse of De La Haye's at Cheltenham and it's run badly and come back, bounced straight back. Blue King de Roux got beaten in a Triumph trial and ended up in the 150s now, and he ran a similar sort of race. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. He's obviously better than he showed at Kempton, but that's because he didn't show anything at Cheltenham. That's because he didn't show anything at Cheltenham. Yeah,
it's a weird one. I mean, there's loads of interesting angles here. Obviously, you've got the Lalamba form could be given a boost, but the fact that I'm fascinated to see whether Sauvignon and Mambo number 5, if they run anything like a race here. I mean, they were clearly taken out of their comfort zone by East India Dock, so it could give him a boost as well. It could give them both a boost. I'm a bit worried about Mondo Man. If I was a bookie at Kempton tomorrow, I'd be trying to get a beat.
You'd be thinking I might be able to get this one beat. Yeah, because there's no way he's not going to pull. That's the thing. It's just it's in pretty much all of his form.
Well, and so Gary Moore's never won this race. He's had 10 runners in it, and none of them have even placed. The horse comes from a family where he's the only one of the family to have actually won. His siblings haven't won races, which I never particularly like either. Like you said, he showed quirks on the flat as well. He was slowly away. He was often held up out the back. He never looked particularly simple. He's only won one race as well. He's only won one race over in France on the flat. And I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I had a look as well that the pedigree.
I wouldn't be entirely certain about them not winning, because we don't keep all of the records of. If it's all ran in France at a lower level, we won't have all their races.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
fair enough.
Our pedigree comment says brother to French winners, so I wouldn't be entitled.
No. Okay. So. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. That might well be the case. That's fair. Yeah. But he's still he's still clearly a bit of a head case. But what interests me as well is that he's. Again, we're talking about pedigrees. Mondialiste on good ground as a hurdle sire. It's only had 5 hurdle winners from 68 runners. 2 of those were in heavy ground. And then you've got really good sires, See the Moon, Siuni, Born to See, who are fantastic good ground hurdle sires. And I just wonder whether in the conditions, Tom, I don't know. Part of me wants to get him beat tomorrow. I think he's a bit short.
Part of me doesn't want to get him to beat. I'd love him to be really good because we don't often get horses this good running on the flat. I'm not worried about the ground one bit. I think one of his best efforts was at Royal Ascot on very fast ground. He flew home up the outside there, Calandigan's race. I'm not worried about the ground for him. The pulling thing's an issue. But I read Gary Moore was saying somewhere, I was reading it earlier, he doesn't pull at all at home. He's never pulled in his life. Couldn't believe it when he pulled so hard. But like Keels, every time he runs, he tends to pull. But I think he's so much better than these that he can pull, not pull, do what he likes, probably do the okey cokey, and he'll still win because I think they're rubbish. I really do. They're not rubbish, but they're just not in his league. OPEC's going to go off and make it a good gallop, which will suit him. Sauvignon could be something, but he just gave up, didn't he, at Cheltenham? I mean, he just stopped. I hate, okay, that was obviously not his running, but it's got to, how can you back a horse that just stops? St. Pancras is miles behind on form, isn't he? And even on the Ascot run. Now, he did improve clearly at Musselburgh. That race fell apart. I think a couple of them fell in front of him at the last, and he probably wouldn't have won. So, I don't know. I think Mondo Man's a certainty myself.
A certainty? All right, okay.
Yeah, I do. I think he'll beat these easily.
You might have to have I'll message you. You might have to have a side bet with this if you. But I do think OPEC's the solid. I mean, obviously the James Owen factor as well. I mean, the horse was battered out of side at Chepstow, but this is going to be very different conditions. But again, she's a front runner, a good ground horse. Of all the horses who I'm sure will run their race, I think she might pop out and dictate things. So yeah, I thought she could be a little bit.
Very consistent Mondo Man, though, isn't he? He ran one bad race, didn't he? I don't know. I mean, I think we're all been. I think you've been a bit harsh on him.
It's not, but he's 4-6 off the back of one run, and everyone's. I just think it's a bit lazy. They've gone. He's a good flat horse. He ran. He finished second to Lalamba. He'll win. I don't know.
He was back for a week, Ross, wasn't he? I mean, he was back. I mean, it wasn't like. I know the 2 came out, but he was. There was money floating around for him for Ascot, money floating around for him here. That's why he's 4-6. He's not 4-6 because everyone's thinking, he's going to be 4-6. I think it's because everyone thinks he's going to win, and they've backed him accordingly.
Yeah, that's fair. There's just nothing. For example, there was a horse this week at Kempton who came from a family of keen goers, had been gelded. They put a hood on it first time in a novice. It was odds on at Kempton because it's Charlton, it's Judmont. Everything is right for this horse. I just don't like horses who.
The pull. I'm 100% with you on that. I just think he'll still win this.
Yeah, you might be right. He's 4-6 though, Simon. Will he turn up in the Triumph if he wins this, or will they skip it and go for Aintree like the Moors prefer to do?
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, there's a couple of. It's fascinating races, isn't it? Because as you say, Tom sees Mondo Man as a good thing. You're trying to get it beat, and I think that's the nature of the race, really. I mean, OPEC is rated 61. Mondo Man's rated 111. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? £50 on the flat would be what is between them. And here they are, and OPEC's a 4-1 chance, and Mondo Man 4-6. Sauvignon is. I mean, Paul Nicholls in his blog, he's written. He's expecting more. He's expecting more at Cheltenham, but he said it wouldn't be the first time that one of his new recruits has performed poorly at Cheltenham. Obviously, they threw him straight into Grade 2 company off the back of his listed hurdle win or toy, but he's going to have to do a lot more. I'm kind of coming around to Tom Segal's way of thinking. I mean, 4-6 for a horse who's so much better on the flat was a good run first time. I mean, OPEC was well beaten at Chepstow last time, and actually, our In the Know special is quite interesting because he's 2-1. To win by over 4 lengths, okay? And it's a £20 max up till 7:30. But if you look back, there's been 6 favourites who won this race in the last 7 years. It is a favourites race, and 4 of those favourites won by 7 lengths or more. Radice won by 7. Fuso Raffles won by 9. Who else won it? Solo won by 13 lengths. I can't even read my writing. Someone else won by 10 lengths. So, I mean, it's bad notes. But
I've got so many stats for this race written down here. I was doing the same, Simon. I was like, I think there's strike rates, percentages, 23%. When I'm writing them down, these are good stats. I can't read them afterwards.
I can't remember the exact
I have
saying,
given up writing notes because I could never understand a word that I've written.
Yeah, exactly. In the moment, I'm like, this.
I type everything in now on all my notes typed.
I think that's a good plan.
What frustrates me a little bit, I know it's Coral sponsored this meeting last year, Ladbrokes are sponsoring, but this we put a lot of money into these races, and there was a time when horses ran in this Kempton meeting and went on and won at Cheltenham. In fact, there were 6. My Silv Caterino, Snowdrop, Penzance, Soldatino, Zarkanda all used this race as a stepping stone to win the Triumph. That was 6 winners in 18 years came from this race. And then it's all just stopped because everybody's just changed their attitudes to when they run their horse ahead of Cheltenham. They're scared to run them 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out.
That's true, but I think, the 2 other factors, though, I think slightly, Simon. One, loads of those horses are probably up in different countries on the flat now, possibly. And also, do you not think the DRFs just had a big impact on that, in a sense?
Well, I think you remember, I suppose it could be, there's an element of, obviously, the Irish dominating more than the English in the last sort of X years, but it had already started to happen. I mean, the Irish horses never used to come over and run in this race. This would be the best English contenders.
But what I mean is, I feel like partly like people they win this and skip Cheltenham because we don't want to go up against those Irish horses. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't, but I think if you look back, I think you just feel like the quality of the horses running in this Adonis isn't the way it used to be, and it just. But I think it's not. I'm not just singling out the Adonis in some ways. I think all the race on the card with the prize money. This is I think it's an £80,000 race. At Naas a couple of weeks ago, they're running grade 2s for 40 grand. So the myth about prize money in Britain being worse than Ireland is not just the same as Ireland. It is significantly better, the graded races now in Britain than Ireland. And yet, and trainers always say it's all about the prize money. Well, it definitely is just not about prize money. It may be where the horses are. I get that. But I still think, it's a frustration that, there are some nice juveniles around.
Yeah.
But they're just not running in the.
I agree. Even recently, it's just going down. It's going down steadily. We had 5 years in a row where the RPR, the winner, was in the 140s. Then 3 years ago it was 135. Then it was 125. Then it was 133. I mean, Mondo Man probably has to win by 10 lengths to get anywhere near 140 tomorrow in this race.
But as an example, for example, Radichin, who won this a few years ago for Alan King, his half brother Haunted Dream is now owned by Wathnan Racing, and as a 4-year-old was finishing 3rd in the John Smith. So what I mean is, and 15 years ago, I think Haunted Dream would have been running this. He would have gone over hurdles. So I do think it's changing.
There are fewer horses from the flat now.
Okay. Anyway, what do we? Mondo Man for Tom. I'll take him on. You think he'll win? And
fence sitting really.
And he's keels on the fence. All right, let's go to the Dovecote, shall we? Miami Magic 7-4, Tripoli Flyer 11-4, Celtic Zeno 9-2, Andershan 8s, Royce's 10-1, Starcross Lover 14s, Road Less Travel 16-1, Blue Singer 50-1, outsider of the bunch. And we've got a grade 2 here with. We keep saying about different trainers winning. Decent races. Well, it could be a good day for Stuart Edmonds. You could have a Fergal O'Brien winner, maybe a Sam Thomas here. It's nice to see some different names in the ranks going head-to-head for a valuable race here at Tom. Miami Magic, fairly short off the back of that Aintree run, but still early days for a few of these. And even the horses he beat at Aintree have very different conditions and could give him a race again. This looks an exciting lineup to me.
Yeah, I really like this race. Thought it was really good. None of them are going to trouble any of the Irish if they were to go to Cheltenham. But they could be just about the best 2-mile novice chasers we have in Britain. We haven't got anything. Tripoli Flyer might be the shortest priced British trained runner in the Supreme. I don't know. He was definitely one of them. Miami Magic, second to Potter's Charm. It's probably the best form, isn't it? But we couldn't really see what was going on that day. But he's won by miles around here, so I think he's the right favourite on form. Tripoli Flyer, second in the Aintree bumper, wasn't he? He looked all over the winner that day, and then a stablemate flew up the outside to beat him. Celtic Dino, I think, provided the ground's good, he's definitely better than he showed last time. Andershan's 2 from 2 at the track. Dark-Cross Lovers won his last twice, and Royce would have won a few if he hadn't kept falling over at the last. So I think this is a really good race. I was going to go for Andershan on the back of his runaway win here last time, but I was just a little bit worried that they might be a little bit quick for him. He looked like he might be a 3-miler in the making to me, or a staying horse in the making. I wondered whether Tripoli Flyer and Miami Magic might be a bit too good. So I personally think Tripoli Flower's the most likely winner. I'm slightly worried about the Fergal O'Brien form, but I think they'll be all right. And so he'd be my choice, but I think Miami Magic's a big danger. And you can make a case for Celtic Dino and Andershan too.
Yeah, Fergal O'Brien 1 from 24 in the past couple of weeks, which ain't great. Celtic Dino 9-2 though. One of the ones that you like, and Dylan Johnston back in the saddle is a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm worried so much about the rider last time. I just think he just hated the ground. I know it says it was officially soft ground when he won his bumper, but it was nowhere near soft that day. Back in November 2023, he's unbeaten on good ground since then, and I think he looks like a fast horse as well. Remember, it's a mile 7 at Wincanton, and he won 14 lengths there. It's a mile 7.5 at Ascot, and he won 4 and a bit there, and had Joyers back in third, the big hurdle winner at Newbury. So yeah, I think he's going to be a completely different proposition tomorrow. And whatever Miami Magic does, he's going to get a lot closer than he did that day. Now, he has got a fair bit of ground to make up for sure.
It's only one run though, right?
But it's one run. He's a top of the ground horse. He's got to give him £3 as well, remember. So, it's enough. He certainly doesn't deserve to be favourite or even challenging it. But I think he's going to get much closer, and I backed him each way earlier in the week and hoped that it would cut up. It hasn't really cut up that much, has it? But I still think he's a massive player. I think Sam Thomas is an excellent trainer. He doesn't have an awful lot of runners, but he's got a 23% strike rate this year. His last 2 horses have won.
Could have a good day with a couple of others as well tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The other horse in that entry race that interests me a little bit again is Road Less Travelled, who again I do think people have gone off in the shape of just one run. But again, I mean, we're talking pedigrees. His sire is 10 from 44, 23% strike rate on good ground. On soft or heavy, it's 1 from 42, and he's the one. And I do think that the conditions were just completely against him. He drifted like a barge. He was never involved at Aintree. But his 3 wins before that. He looked like a bit of a beast. I thought he could run.
I mean, it's amazing how often the market just completely dismisses a horse on the back of one bad run, and he looked pretty good when he beat. I mean, I know it was soft ground at Eider. He beat Country Mile that day.
He's got the grade 2 penalty, isn't he, Keels?
Yeah, he's got a penalty. Yeah.
He's got the grade 2 penalty, so he's got a full one. He's got to give weight all round. I mean, Celtic Dino's got a little one.
Yeah. He's got to give weight all round, but I mean, he's not. He's not a mug on the figures either, is he? It's not.
I just sometimes again. You said it before, Tom, about prices. I mean, does £5 and 1 run really make him 16s versus Miami Magic 7-4? It just
no, of course not.
Just seems a bit extreme. But
of course not. But he obviously did run badly last time, so that you can't expect him to be challenging Miami Magic. But what you're saying is, percentage-wise, he should be a lot closer to him just on the back of that one run, I presume.
I just think there's a lot of recency bias, and with novices and unexposed horses, it can get a bit daft. He might get comfortably beaten again, but he is a big price, and it might well be worth taking a chance. What do you make of Royce? Very quickly, Ben Pauling. Obviously, this is his kind of track.
And Ben Pauling's coming back into form as well. I mean, sorry, I've just gone back. I've moved towards the next race. Yeah,
yeah, you had a double today.
I think he probably has a little bit more mortifying than some, but he's going in the right direction, isn't he? You know what I mean? But on the figures, he's got a little bit more coming. It was a slow run race, I think, last time that he won. So, I mean, it's a fair step up for me. But again, Ben Pauling's running into form again, isn't he?
Yeah. Simon Clare, the Dovecote then 7-4 short price favourite, but again, I think we can make a case for 3/4 of these.
Yeah, no, you've done a good job of that, really. I mean, it's a very interesting when you look at the last 10 years. It's a race which really tends to focus around the shortest price runners. I think in 10 years, the biggest price winner of this has been 6-1, and yet there's only been 3 favourites. It's obviously it tends to focus around the first and second favourites. The In the Know special plays into that a little bit. Basically, you can back Miami Magic or Tripoli Flyer to win at even money. At the odds here at the moment, it works out about 8-11. So you're backing something that's happened an awful lot in terms of the first and second, one of the first 2 winning in recent years, and you're getting a bit of value if that rocks your boat. But like you, despite those stats, Road Less Travelled. I know, we obviously, John Joneja and the other Coral Race Cup trainers. I knew they would, they really liked Road Less Travelled, and they were disappointed, even if the ground was an excuse on the day in the Form B. So, on the basis of a bit of it, had a bit of break since then. At 16-1, it might be worth an each way bet to redeem his reputation after that run. But the history and everything does suggest that the front two are where we should focus our attention.
Okay, Miami Magic then is a 7-4 shot for the Dovecote. Ladbrokes Trophy then up next, a 3-mile handicap chase here, and like I said, the top weights are dominating the betting here. Highland 4-1, Lowry's Bar 11-2, Katati Dory 7-1 with Our Power. They are the Sam Thomas pair. 8-1 Beachcomber, 9-1 Golden Sun. Helpnam is at 10-1, and Charlie Uber Alice at 14-1. Loads in with squeaks as well. Obviously Tamoras, who won on this card last year. Deeper Blues, an interesting recruit for new connections, and we've got a Chris Gordon outsider on good ground at Kempton. Not sure any Chris Gordon horses should be outsiders, but yeah, this is a cracking lineup here. Tom, you've got the novice of Highland, always going to be popular given Nicky Henderson. Lowry's Bars form's looking very good indeed. But again, quite a few of these are going to get this race run to suit and conditions looking ideal. What was on your shortlist and what was top of it?
Well, nearly all on my shortlist. I thought it was a fantastic race. I thought you could make a case for all of them. I think Unanswered Prayers maybe I didn't fancy, but I said that before, and that one's gone and won in the past. So it's really competitive. It's going to depend on who gets in the best rhythm, who jumps well. I like Highland as a horse. I think he's, he jumps really well. I wasn't that keen on him as a hurdler, but when he's taken a totally new lease of life over fences, whether I want to back him at 4-1 in a race that's competitive, I'm not sure. But he did run very well behind the jukebox man, so I give him a big chance. Beachcomber was really good here the other day. I think Golden Sun will get a lot closer to him at these weights, and given that he's had that run, but I don't know, it's going to be tight between the two of them. Helpnam's an interesting horse. Does he really stay 3 miles? Does he really want to go this way round? I think he'll be all right on it. He ran well behind Golden Sun here again last year, so I give him a chance. Charlie Uberaz is one of my favourites. I think I have no problem with him going this way round. He's won a couple of times at Perth. I could see him going really well. Very close to backing him, but in the end I was tossing up between the two Sam Thomas's horses you were talking about. I think Our Power's going to go really well again. He just has to. He's run well in this race a couple of times. Whether he's quite as good as he was, I'm not sure, but when he ran in at Cheltenham at the start of the season, he was tanking the whole way through the race. He split King Turge and Chianti Classico. I think he's as good as ever. But in the end, I just went for the bottom one, just simply because he's had 3 runs over fences. He's unexposed. There's a chance he's a bit of a lummox and doesn't jump so well. But I'm not sure about that. I thought he jumped really well his first 2 starts. And then, sorry, my dog was making a racket there. And then last time in the Somerset National, he sort of ballooned the first and got sort of out of position, and then flew home and then sort of jumped really well to get back into it, and then was a bit ragged up the straight. But the form's worked out well. He was third. Frido came out and finished fourth. Who was fourth that day came out and won afterwards. So I give him a chance down the bottom. I'm hoping Charlie Deutsch's magic hands work the trick, and he flies home for me. So I'll give Katate Dory my shout.
Yeah, he. So that win Canton race, I was on doing a racing radio shift in that race, and I don't know if you know, Tom, but it was a standing start. So
yeah,
they rushed the tape. It was a standing start. He got completely left, and I think that threw him off his rhythm. And I was watching that race, and I put it in my notes. Basically, I've never seen a handicap chaser, miss the start, jump so badly, looked like he was going to pull up halfway around, everything go wrong, and he was still coming back at the line. I mean,
did you think he jumped terribly in the middle part of the race? Because I didn't. I thought he jumped really quite slickly in the middle part of the race, and just over the last 4, he was a bit ragged when it was sort of getting a bit tired, I thought.
Well, I kind of felt like he was on the back foot from the get-go, so he started jumping badly. Then he'd get into the rhythm, and then I think he was probably just a bit tired late on, and remember, Collector's Eye to Maydall and got into a rhythm from the front, and he was trying to make up ground. But I put on my notes, I've never seen a handicap chaser do so much wrong and still look like he should have won by half the track. So I just thought there might be an excuse given that I think he was a bit off his game from the get-go, given the
but he had 3 hard runs, didn't he? He'd only started his career over fences in January. Then he ran 3 days later, or 4 days later, and then he ran again at the end of January in the summer. So maybe he was just sort of they've given him a month off month and a bit off now, so maybe he'll back. I'm hoping that. I think he's the best handicapped horse in the race potentially.
Yeah.
But whether he puts it all together in this type of fierce handicap would be a concern.
Okay. Highland the favourite though. Nicky Henderson, last 15 years, 11 runners, no wins, no places. Interesting that he's 4-1. He might well turn it around. He's unexposed compared to the rest. What do you like in this?
Yeah, he's unexposed compared to the rest. I mean, it is a prep for the Grand National, isn't it? I mean, I suppose there's no reason he's not going to be absolutely hard fit, but the Grand National is his target. He likes good ground. He jumps well. You can't knock him. If he's well enough handicapped and he can jump well in a big field, it'll go well, won't he? But I have had, I saw the case for Katati Dory because, it has to be well handicapped to run that race and still get as close as he did. But I have had Golden Sun down as my fancy for this since he ran over Christmas at this track. He only won twice this season, tailed off at Newbury when a big drifter clearly needed it. But this was his first go at 3 Mile and he got outpaced. They went pretty slowly, and Beachcomber, we can't knock Beachcomber because he sprinted away from the second, who was Frero Bamboo. He was no mug, obviously, to win by 10 lengths. But Golden Sun got outpaced and then ran on. That told me he definitely got the trip. And he likes this track. And we know what we said about Johnny De La Haye. His horses are primed to run well at Kempton generally, and at this meeting in particular. After a couple of flops last season, he came back here and he beat Cheltenham in a 2 mile 4 furlong handicap chase. That was before Cheltenham went on and won the Greatwood Gold Cup, so he's actually £7 better off with him now. He's £1 lower than when he won that race. I just think he's been absolutely primed to run the race of his life tomorrow. Whether that is actually good enough is another matter, but I do expect him to run very, very well. You can see the case for Our Power 2. But no, I've pretty much only had eyes for Golden Sun since he was put in the entries.
Okay, Golden Sun then a 9-1 shot. Paul Nicholls also has Timoras in this, of course, as well, who was running in the Pendil last year, wasn't he? So he could be interesting returning to this track. Simon Clare, yeah, really good race. Plenty of well handicapped sorts and classy sorts towards the top of the weights as well.
Yeah, no, it's a great race, really, isn't it? It's good prize money, some really interesting horses, some progressive, some have been around a bit. Looking at the special, actually quite a good one, given the market move for Katati Dory, which I know Tom's contributed to. He's now 7-1. He was 17-2 earlier. He's now 7-1 along with Our Power. But we've got a combined price. Sam Thomas to win the race is 4-1 from 100-30. So that's a good uptick on those. As the best price you get if you back them both at 7s. And we've got a similar bet on Paul Nicholls at 6-1 to win the race with one of his 2 runners, Golden Sun and Timoras. That was from 5-1 again. And that's much better than backing them, obviously, at the individual price combined. You've looked at the race in detail already, but the top weights, the top 3 in the betting are the top weights: 12 stone Larry's Bar, 11 stone 13 Highland, 11 stone 10 Our Power. Recent history says it's really tough to carry those weights in this race against horses carrying a bit something slightly lower down, so I'll take them on. I thought Beachcomber, the great run here in victory, gone up in the weights, but still looks progressive and got some good form around Huntington. He just looks the sort of horse for Kempton. And similarly, quite interesting, Cheltenham going up and trip with Dan Skelton. He's quite bullish in his Ladbrokes blog. He's obviously been campaigning mainly up 2.5 miles, been very successful around flat tracks like Newbury. Obviously, run very well here as well. And he thinks the trip around this track will potentially give him a decent each way chance. So I've sort of gone for Cheltenham and Beachcomber because it's always fun to have a couple of bets in a race like this. And I'll take on the top weights. But no, it's a cracker again at Kempton.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, 4:10 at Kempton then a bit of Southwell, then a bit of Newcastle, and then we all go home and get a good night's sleep. Ideal to board is 11-4, Blow Your Wad 9-2, Bad 9-2, Keep Running 5-1, Etalon 7-1, Solo 15-2, Bobali 8-1, Black Jerry 20-1 here, and Sure Touch for Ollie Murphy is the outsider of the bunch. But I wonder if Highland wins the previous race, whether this favourite will be backed off the board, Paul Kealy.
Ooh, very good.
Yeah, there you go. But again, some really nice types. Plenty we've backed in the past. Obviously, Solo, another Nicholls horse, the De La Haye horse, Blow Your Wad's a quality animal, and Bad should have, would have, could have won more races than he has.
Oh, absolutely. And again, what's wrong with Solo? I mean, he has won the Adonis, and he's won the
Pendil.
He won the Pendil.
Yeah.
And he's run in 3 chases at Kempton, and he has run to RPRs of 146, 150, and 154. He's in here off a mark of 139.
In fact, the only horse that's beat him around Kempton was Balco Coastal, whose next run he finished second to
Yeah.
Grade
It was
One.
£18 higher next time, after one more run. So yeah, I mean, he showed nothing at 3 Mile first run, ran a lot better when 4th to Copmaster Ascot. And then, although only 5th of 6 last time at Sandown, the ground was bottomless. It was 2 miles, which he hadn't run over for more than 3 years, and he didn't actually run that badly. He wasn't beaten far at all. So I think he's in okay nick, and he loves good ground. So yeah, I think he's going to run very well. There are obviously young, unexposed types that are going to improve, and particularly ideal they're board and keep running. I like keep running. He'll certainly be better going back. Left-handed as well. There was loads of money for him late on last time at Foss Lass when he thrashed Sir Psycho. He's got to improve it on the ground though, because a lot of his form is on soft ground. But at the prices, I just think Solo stands out. I don't see how he's going to be 15 to 2, 7, 8 to 1 by the time they go off tomorrow, because he's just a Kempton horse.
Yeah. All right. Could be a good day for
a well-handicapped Kempton horse.
Yeah. I mean, the only way he's going to be a lot bigger is if the previous Nichols horses have run poorly.
Yeah, they could all run dreadful, but he had a winner today, didn't he? And they're coming back.
He's going to turn around at some point. Tom Segal, what do you like?
Blow Your Wad, Solo, and Keep Running, in no particular order. Blow Your Wad obviously won the Pendil last year, coming back to the track. Been off for a long time since, but usually goes well fresh, so you've got to give him a shot. Solo for the reasons Kealy said, and Keep Running because I just thought he was incredibly impressive at Foss Lass, given that he went about 5 miles further than everything else, jumping out to his right. I don't see the ground being an issue for him. I really don't. It was Taunton the time before where he was impressive. I think right-handed step up in triple suit him a lot. He'd be probably my first choice, but I get Solo, and I just don't know what I'm going to get from Etalon. Because halfway down the back at Sandown last time, I thought he was going to win by 427 lengths, and he lost. I couldn't believe it. He was so far clear and jumping so well, and hadn't pulled and hadn't done anything, and then he just sort of did nothing up the home straight. So I just don't know what I'm going to get for him. He's definitely got the ability to be a factor. What happened last time over the last half mile, I have no idea. So I couldn't have him on the list at the moment, but Hill's made a good case for Solo. I like Keep Running, and Blow Your Wad just could be a really class horse in this race.
Yeah, very odd to see Etalon run that race and then think, I tell you what, 2.5 miles next time out. But yeah, Blow Your Wad, interesting. Yeah, I mean, his record fresh is second, first, second. And he's 3 from 3 at Kempton. So, I mean, yeah, he's a really classy horse, isn't he? Simon?
Yeah, listen, I'm a Solo man. Again, that record is Kempton is amazing. Six really good, but 4 very good runs, a couple of defeats, and obviously he's won at this meeting twice before with the Pendil and the Adonis way back in 2020. So I thought he has a good chance, and Paul Nicholls in his blog is pretty encouraging about that. Blow Your Wad, like the guys said, another Kempton specialist. I do love Kempton specialists, and another horse who loves this track is Brierley. His 8 best RPRs. 5 of them have come at Kempton and he's run 29 times. So he loves the track. Ran a very good second to Grey Dawning over hurdles a couple of years ago. Joe Tizard is 8 from 29. His yard is in fantastic form, which is great for our Coral ambassador. And I just think, and he's rated around marks. He's won and been very competitive. So I think Brierley at the prices, I thought Brierley and Solo would be 2 each way plays against the younger, shorter priced rivals who obviously could be progressive on the handicap, but they haven't proved themselves around this unique track.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, let's have a look at 2 of the other features of the weekend. Then the Eider handicap chase: O'Connell 6-1, Choose the News 7-1, Collector's Item 15-2, Angler's Crag 8-1. I like the way you're thinking. It's 9-1 with Passing Well, and it's 11's bar for this stamina test. You were saying you like this race this year, Mr. Tom Segal. What's your pick in this year's Eider?
Choose the News is my pick. I just thought he was tailor-made for the race. He's a very good jumper. He loves Newcastle. A little bit of giving the ground all suit, and I think he's going to thrive. Steps up in trip to 4 miles. I think he's been crying out for it. The stable's in flying form. What's not to like? I think handicap is fine. Handicap marks fine. I just think he's going to run a massive race. I'd be quite keen on Choose the News. I think Collector's Item is very dangerous if he gets an easy lead from the front like he did when he won the race we were talking about with Cotate Dore. Whether he will, I don't know, and he can definitely throw the dummy out if things don't go right. Anglers Crag was just last year's winner. It was just really disappointing for me last time. He sort of smuggled into the race in the Edinburgh National and then sort of did nothing once he got there. I'm keen on Choose the News.
All right, Choose the News has been well backed into 7-1. What are you keen on, Keels?
Yeah, I was a Choose the News fan earlier in the week. Put him up in the weekend. I do like him. I mean, last time, going to the second last, it looked like he was going to drop out and finished 5th. And he ended up staying on really strongly. He was 6 lengths. He was 6 lengths down at the last, and he got to within a couple of lengths. Everything about him says he's going to stay very, very strongly. And like Tom said, I mean, he's had 3 runs at Newcastle, 2-1-2. There's plenty to like about him. Same thing that Tom said about Anglers Crag, because I backed him at Musselburgh last time, and that was disappointing. I think Passing Well has got a chance. He's he keeps going up and trip and running really, really well. Always finishes in the frame. We have to mention the favourite O'Connell, obviously, because he gagged up at Sandown last time, but that was when ridden by Gavin Shear, and they obviously couldn't have him tomorrow. Peter Kavanagh takes £3 off. He's gone up in the handicap, but he didn't half win well at Sandown. Only ever won right-handed. But as the trainer says, it is a big galloping track, and surely it's not going to be that much of a worry, is it?
Yeah.
And he just looked like he for a horse he's only rated 130. He looked like he had a bit of class at Sandown. So I've had a saver on him, but I backed Choose the News earlier in the week. I don't expect it to go well.
Okay. Just a quick word for history of fashion. An 11-year-old who ran last time out at Leopardstown, ran behind Percival Le Galois. Nick Rocket was in 4th. 3-card Bragg, Favori de Champdou, Will Do were in there. I mean, 7 and 8-year-olds, really unexposed types, and this horse finished 6th, running an absolute blinder. I thought he had
I backed him, Ross. I backed him to win this race about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
And he didn't hardly raise a gallop, and then I'm sort of been. He's off my list for a bit now, but he was, as you say, the form of that Paddy Power is working out really well.
And Simon Clare, the Eider?
Yeah, I thought Passing Well. I thought, it was a good run at Lingfield, stepping up in trip, and this extreme test should suit. I like backing Jamie Snowden horses in big races on a Saturday. So I thought he'd go well. Actually, I thought Sporting Ace, who actually beat him at Lingfield, might go well again. But obviously, it's a bit of a risk backing 2 horses from the same form line if it turns out it wasn't very good. But I'll probably go for Passing Well as the young up-and-comer.
Okay, yeah. History of Fashion as an 8-year-old ran behind Win My Wings and made it as far as the 6th fence. The Winter Derby then, let's rattle through this. Royal Champion 11-10, Military Academy 9-4, Champagne Prince 5-1, Persica 11-2, Claymore, Pleasant Man and Alanya turning up to try and pick up some scraps. But you normally turn to a Gosden runner in this to get involved in a race of this nature, or an Appleby horse or a Haggers horse, but it's Carl Burke who has the favourite here in the shape of Royal Champion. What did you think, Tom?
Well, I think it's the right favourite. Obviously, he's been all over the place, hasn't he? Was he in Australia for a bit or somewhere? I don't know. But he's back, and he looked good last time. The right favourite. I just think it's quite a good race. Military Academy. We don't know how good he is. I think he's got a bit to find myself. Because Burdett Road kicked him out of the way, didn't he? But maybe he didn't get the trip that day. Persica's an interesting horse. I like him. And Champagne Prince is turning into an all-weather specialist. Still owes us all fortunes from the day he got beaten in the Shergar Cup. Can't work. Still cut to this day. Can't work out how he lost the Shergar Cup that day. But there we go. So I think Royal Champion's the class act, and I think he'll probably win.
Okay, Royal Champion 11-10. Champagne Prince 5-1. Yeah, I mean, he just. William Buick and Positive Tactics have worked wonders, haven't they, for Champagne Prince? Royal Champion 11-10 though. Keels, any angle?
No, that'll do for me. When I realised I had to look at all-weather races, I got stuck into the sprint instead. Right? That shows how much. I think Diligent Harry pretty much wins second time out every year, and very classy. He's only 11-4, but I think he was going to.
Yeah, you like the Heaver Sprint as well, didn't you? Tom, don't mind the Winter Derby. What wins that?
I like Adrian Murray's horse, the old Royal Ascot Valiant Force. And Adrian Murray's had about 10 winners in the last month. They're just absolutely flying. And I just think he's going to take off tomorrow.
All right, okay, fair enough. I thought Bedford Flyer was a bit overpriced, as he always is. So, okay, there you go. Look, there's a whole separate show. In fact, we should have an extra subscriber show, shouldn't we? You pay extra to get us to go through every other race on Saturday as well. But let's wrap it up with the naps in just a second. But first, it's this.
We're into the final bend of the Coral Fan Derby, where racing lovers of the UK are in a spectacular contest. And watch this, he's shaking his phone like it's a pocket-sized maraca. They're all getting rewards now. He's shaking it, she's shaking it, they're all shaking it. Play the free Coral Reward Shaker to win guaranteed daily rewards and offers. Coral, we're here for it.
Okay, gang, big Saturday. Best bets, starting off with you, Paul Kealy.
Well, I think Rubo will win, but I don't like napping at short odds. So let's go Golden Sun in the big one.
All right, lovely stuff. Golden Sun it is. Tom Segal.
Choose the News for me in the Eider.
Choose the News it is in the Eider. I'll go for Doyen Quest in the handicap hurdle that opens Kempton's card. And Simon Clare, what about you?
Well, I reckon we have to have a banker. Rubo will win, won't it? That's the definition of a nap. I mean, you can do them in doubles and trebles with the rest of your selection.
There we go. Well, we'll end on that fighting talk, shall we? Lovely. Right. Thanks ever so much for watching at home, and we'll be back on Monday night to review how well or badly our selections went. Which, you know, we'll have 5 minutes at the end of every just to the viewers can rate our picks.
Just to say sorry.
Yeah. Or you owe me a pint, whichever way it goes. All right. See you then. Have a good weekend.